Today, we are breaking down one of the most overlooked mistakes in growing great cannabis, and it's all about your water. Come on, but before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Recharge. If you want stronger, healthier plants, if you want bigger roots for better fruits, you gotta check out Real Growers Recharge. It's like an instant compost tea that holds more nutrients at your root zone, breaks those nutrients down, and makes them more plant available, getting more of your nutrients into your plants. Find out more about Recharge over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. Come on, High C, let's get into this one. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? It's water the plants.
Yeah, it seems like something I wouldn't even have to think about.
I've definitely made mistakes doing it, though. So let's talk about it. I bet we can save some people some headaches.
Okay, the biggest mistake that I've made is too much water, root rot, and then my plant dies.
Yes, overloving your plants. Absolutely. So just overwatering. Come on, that's a simple one, okay?
Okay, so everybody probably knows that one. You've got some other things to keep in mind when watering.
Yeah. Other than that, overwatering is just drowning your roots. We all know roots and the microbes are aerobic, so you can't just drown them. So that's to start off with. But there's a couple little things, couple mistakes. This first one that I made is I made it when I came to Colorado, and that was I started watering my plants with super cold water. The water out of the tap here has got to be in the 50s. It is freezing cold.
I think it's lower than the 50s
it is
sometimes.
So cold. Yes, and by just dumping a whole bunch of water, from watering with a hose or something like that, the roots hated it. The roots are maybe right about 68, 70 degrees. They like being around there. When you hit them with that cold water, it shocks them. They'll recover, but it slows them down. What happens when we get cold? We slow down.
Slow down metabolism.
Yeah, so that's what happens. So too cold of water can be an issue. So just don't make that same mistake. Yeah.
So hot water, warm water.
You always have it coming out of the cold water tap. I'll sometimes, if I need to use it right out of the tap, I will literally just use maybe a pint, maybe at a time, few ounces at a time, let it make contact, surface contact with the soil, warm up a little bit, and just hit, I've got 16 plants in there. I'll go around, maybe if I got 2 gallons of cold water, and I'll just really try to spread it out. But what I'll mostly do is leave it in the grow for a little bit. If I'm going to water my plants the next day, I can take a 5-gallon bucket and leave it in there. Even just fill up the 2-gallon watering can, but just leave it in there to warm up.
Why can't I just turn the hot water on and make some warm water?
I was a plumber. My dad was a plumber. His dad was a plumber.
Okay.
And I spent a lot of days exchanging hot water heaters, and I was surprised to see when I take them to the dump what would come out of the bottom of them. I mean, just rust and sediment, and a lot of that sediment is scale. It's calcium.
Oh.
That can throw your water off, man. Think about it. When we talk about calcium and magnesium and phosphorus, all those have to be in the right proportions or else they lock each other out. So just be careful. You could be getting a lot of scale. You could be getting a lot of calcium in there. So I always use the cold water tap.
Okay, that makes sense. You mentioned letting it sit in the grow. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would always fill up her watering can the night before and let it sit on the counter. But she didn't say specifically for the temperature. She said because there was stuff in the tap water that she wanted to dissipate.
Yeah, chlorine, chloramine, that's the stuff that they put in to keep bacteria. It kills the free bacteria that are running around there, the viruses, the bacteria that are actually in the pipes as the water's coming to you.
Okay, so they put that stuff in to kill bacteria. Now I'm thinking immediately, you're always talking about how we need certain bacteria in the root zone.
Yeah, a lot of bacteria.
Okay.
So I make my living.
Does that affect my plant, pouring that chlorine onto my plants?
It does not. Chlorine is a chemical. There's only a certain amount of it, just like we measure our parts per million. There's only a very low parts per million of chlorine in the pipes. I think it's like between 1 and 4 ppm. You're using about 200 when you're cleaning a surface with diluted bleach solution or something. So it's a couple hundred times less powerful. And these are molecules. It's not just some magic stuff that just takes over the water. They're these little chlorine molecules, and they bind to things. That's how they destroy things. They're oxidizers. They bind to organic materials. Organic materials are really good at neutralizing, at bonding these things, putting them in organic form so they're not plant available. So cannabis is a dynamic accumulator. It wants to suck up everything. Whether a lot of the city water not only has chlorine or chloramine, it has heavy metals in it. If you look at some of the heavy metals reports, or even look at your well water. I had well water I was growing with. I got a report on it. A lot of heavy metals in there. So microbes bind to those things. There are organic materials. I'm thinking specifically in recharge at humic and fulvic acids. Even if you're pouring these in your soil's got all this organic material. It is organic material, and these chlorine binds to these. Even the heavy metals will bind to them, and they make them into a much less plant available form.
Okay, so tap water is okay, but I should be using some sort of microbes, soil microbes, beneficial microbes in my mix to help keep that stuff from being absorbed by the plant.
As much as I want to say absolutely only microbes, even the organic material in your soil will bind this stuff up. So it's just not an issue.
So if I'm growing with like living soil or something, it's going to do the same thing.
Anything that has carbon in it will bond to it. Anything with some nitrogen and carbon will bond to this stuff. So this is not chess, it's checkers. When you put it into your soil is going to neutralize the amount of chlorine that is in there. And I won't drop this mic. It's expensive. Mic drop.
Okay. So I don't have to be going out and buying purified water from the store.
No, not unless you had really bad water and you were worried. I mean, what I would do if I did see, just for peace of mind, when I went in Central Florida and we started testing that well water, it was dirty. And I was like, look, it was 650 parts per million out of the well.
Oh.
Yeah, so we would run it through a reverse osmosis filter. Reverse osmosis is just cleaning the slate. You're getting pure H2O. When you're using like a carbon filter, that will filter out the chlorine. It will filter out some of the contaminants. Some of the really small, the viruses and stuff like that can get through that. So carbon filter for a quick clean. UV sterilization, they have those out there. Those work. And then reverse osmosis if you're really concerned with getting absolutely everything out. But just don't sleep on the microbes. Reverse osmosis is such a pain in the butt to use. It maybe does a couple 100 gallons all day. So it's nice to be able to just take water out of the tap. Hey, but those are just some of the things that I take into account when I'm watering my plants. But what about you? What's your best watering tip? Let me know in the comments. And come on, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, talk about this one and share it with another grower you know. And check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommending because I think you'll dig them.